Early this morning, I got a look at a Ford, the Focus RS, actually the only one in this country. It's one of 12 performance vehicles that Ford is rolling out in the U.S. Stephen Odell is Ford's Executive Vice President of Global Marketing, Sales, and Service. We've got 4 of these performance vehicles unveiled so far. You had the Mustang GT350, you had the Ford GT, and the new F-150 Raptor. Now, this is number 4. 8 more to go. Is this part of a push to change the company's image?
Well, no, it definitely helps the company's image, but you've seen the bandwidth, we discussed it earlier, of the products that Ford can offer, you know, from a Fiesta or a car in South America, all the way up to that huge, I think it's a 750.
I was just looking at the F-750 Tonka truck that's coming out in May. Will be produced in Ohio, by the way, no big deal, with its own turbo diesel engine that you're bringing in-house now. So a huge range, obviously, but you seem to be focused on the sporting aspect or the performance aspect. Why is that?
Well, Ford's always had a history of sporting. You know the history as well as I do, that the company really ignited by Henry winning the race way back years ago, and so it's been a part of our DNA anyway. And I know you saw the RS earlier on, and I think you were particularly interested in the drift mode that
it's got drift mode, which I don't know how you got that past regulators. It can knocks off the traction control, changes the damping regulation, changes the mechanical torque vectoring.
So on a track, it allows you to oversteer as you go around the corner.
You, Stephen.
rather like Ken Block. In fact, Ken was involved in the development with us.
So, Stephen, what's the point of performance cars? Is this a car for a Ford fanatic like Matt who wants his second or third Ford, or does this actually draw new Ford customers into the market?
Both, I think. I mean, clearly it appeals to enthusiasts. The RS you can drive, obviously, on the road. It's one of its modes. But you can take it on the track as well. The GT is absolutely for an enthusiast. We've said fairly limited production, 250 a year. We find it actually brings in new buyers to us as well. A lot of luxury considerers actually consider an enthusiast car.
One of the coolest things about Ford's history and the GT is that, you know, Ford wanted to buy Ferrari way back when, and when the deal fell through, they said, fine, we'll just make a car that can beat them, and they made the GT. I have heard that Ferrari is up for sale again.
Well, I read the same things that you do, but we're fine with our plan, thank you very much.
Talk to us a little bit about the advertising strategy. Obviously, you're the Chief Marketing Officer. How will Ford's advertising budget look different in 5 years than it does today in terms of the mix you spend on print, online, on Snapchat, product placement? I don't know.
Well, digital has certainly grown. I go back maybe 15, 20 years ago. 15 years ago, our spend on digital was below 10% around the world. Probably closer to 45% now. But you can spend on digital and it can be a lost message. It has to be relevant.
Yeah.
It's better, I think. I think communication in general has moved from interruption to involvement. We want to give people messages that they actively want to share. And, you know, I think 4 or 5 years' time, we'll all stop talking about the connected customer, because it will just be like electricity. It will be, you know, what everybody does.
So what medium is the most effective bang for your buck for that digital engagement?
Nothing is successful unless you do it well. But digital is clearly the most effective if people pick it up and take it.
So what is that?
More effective than TV? We were thinking earlier, I mean, obviously we all have seen the Lincoln ads. We really appreciate Matthew McConaughey. But we were thinking as far as Ford, you know, I only think about interacting with Ford digitally or in print ads. I don't really think about seeing Ford commercials on television.
Well, actually, TV is important in markets like India. It's important, although that's very strong digital as well. In Spain, that skews heavily towards TV. A lot depends on the patterns of the way that customers consume their media.
Yeah. Assuming you do all the campaigns, though, well, what is the most effective medium?
I still think it's a mix. I don't think you can pendulum away completely, but digital is clearly a growing percentage.
All right, let's talk about the Matthew McConaughey commercials, the True Detective-style Lincoln commercials. A big attempt to revive the brand. First question, did you call Woody Harrelson?
I don't know. It was pre-me, but we're delighted with what Malcolm's doing. He's doing for us.
Yeah. What kind of turnaround have you seen so far in Lincoln? Obviously, the preliminary numbers look pretty good.
Yeah, last year, we saw the brand grow by 16% in the US, which was double the growth in the luxury segment. This year, already 12%, and that's driven by new products, principally. And in China, we've only got 9 or 10 dealerships. We aim to have 25 by the end of the year. And you know, we've got a very good plan, but a long, sustainable plan, because I don't believe you push luxury. I think people pull luxury because they want it, and that's going to be driven by the products we put out there, as well as the communication.
So you are the global chief marketing officer, and obviously China is got to be a huge focus for you because it's growing so quickly for Ford and for Lincoln. How do you want to put forth? You have essentially a blank canvas there. So how do you want to put forth Ford's image in China?
Yeah, not quite a blank canvas. We sold 1.1 million units there last year, and Mark Fields, who's there in China, announced our 6th plant yesterday. So you know, it's the biggest market. 25 million units last year, with a growth rate of 7%. You know, erring towards 30%. We've got the right product mix there. We've got more product we can introduce. We mentioned Edge yesterday. And very relevant to the consumers. And when we launched Lincoln in China, it's a very, very strong brand. It's got really no history other than they like the Americana involved with the Lincoln brand.
I want to bring it full circle. Only a minute left, but I want to ask you about racing. How important is racing to you, and is the GT part of a new racing strategy? I mean, it's headed for Le Mans.
Was that a question or a statement from you?
Well, we know that the GT is going to head for Le Mans, right? I mean, are you going to beef up?
We haven't commented where it's going from a racing perspective. We're concentrating on a road car. It's a fabulous product, and well, you think we should go racing with it?
I think you should. I'm just wondering, do you plan on stepping up your racing involvement, because you're getting so performance-oriented?
We've got racing elements all over the world, including grassroots, and RS actually is going to help us a lot with the grassroots too.
A little rally action for the RS.
Well, you need to take a car out.
All right, I look forward to driving both of those vehicles. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Stephen Odell, the new Chief Marketing Officer globally for Ford.
Pretty exciting, pretty cool performance car.